What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Okay, so we had a fun 24 hours, haven't we? It's been exciting. So basically, tonight I just wanted to be here. I'm pretty tired. Yesterday was stressful, and we've been working a lot today. So I'm probably gonna keep this a little bit shorter than normal, but I wanted to jump on anyway and just chat with you guys. There's not a ton of updates about paid from last week. As far as everything I said is still valid. All the things that we're working on. We have the BSC integration happening extremely soon. That's huge news. The BEP20 to ERC20 token bridge, and we also minted our BEP20 paid token. So that's really cool too, which means that we're ready to start using the bridge pretty soon, and paid token will be natively on Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum, which means that we'll be opening up a pool in PancakeSwap, maybe SushiSwap, and it gives us access now to both paid and the BSC ecosystem. So that's going to be great for everyone who's wanted, faster and lower transaction fees on your trading page, for example. You can now do it on, well, not now, but very, very soon on Pancake. So that's really cool. Anybody? How did it take the dip? We know we leveraged. Yep, that's true. And that was the only reason. That's the only reason that it was stressful at all, right? I wasn't, ever stressed about the correction or this crash because I was concerned about the end of a bull market or anything like that. It's exactly that reason, is because I'm leveraged. So not leverage as in derivatives trading, but it's really, so what I do is I put my Bitcoin and actually really Bitcoin, Ethereum, mostly on Nexo, and then I use that collateral and take out a loan and then use it to invest in other projects. So it's definitely not what I recommend for anybody else. It is almost not quite as risky as leverage trading, in my opinion. Not at all, really. I mean, it depends on how much you leverage, right? So I already learned my lesson once last year, and I didn't want to take that risk again. So was much more conservative on how much I was borrowing, how much collateral I had. So yesterday I was watching the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum plummeting, and constantly doing the math, figuring out how low they would have to go to where my assets were starting to be liquidated. So I also had some extra Bitcoin that I had bought and put it in Nexo as well to give myself a little bit more collateral in there, and so everything was fine. I was very, very close to having to sell some, some of the collateral to make sure the loan was good. But anyway, yeah, it was nerve-wracking, and not for the reason, like I said, that other people might be nerve-wracked. Because again, I don't think that we're even anywhere close to the end of the bull market. If you haven't seen my video yesterday that I made about my opinion on the market crash, like what had caused it, how relevant were the things to the market that actually caused it, and things like that too. So, and then just a little bit ago, I also filmed a video of what I woke up this morning and bought in the dip. So I did take the opportunity to get into some things that I was hoping to have some more of, and it was an amazing opportunity, because rarely do I have stable coins sitting on the side for an opportunity to buy things in a dip. And this time I just so happened to have a significant amount that I was able to then go and buy the dip. Like, I never get to participate in the dip because usually I don't have any stable coin or something to buy anything. Everything's invested. But so anyway, that was that. Yeah, exactly. So this is exactly what happened to me too. The exact same time. I'm sure we both lost our assets last March during the Corona crash. Yeah, it was a hard lesson to learn, and it stung. But luckily we've had a very lucrative year, and it's okay. So, all right, let's see. So I'd like to know, let's spend the first part of this, like really, it depends what you guys, let me know what you want to hear more about the market crash, or you want to hear, you have more questions about paid. Let me just scroll down, I guess, and try to figure out what kind of questions we got. So it says, Kyle, do you think we'll see the same momentum even if there is a bull run from now? And what will happen to upcoming projects? They won't see 100 or 200x anymore. So I think that we're going to definitely see the momentum that we saw before. Everything is kind of cyclical. Oh, sorry, someone's calling my Telegram. Hold on. All right. Okay. So, so we'll definitely see the same kind of momentum that we saw back in January, February, and March. It's just cyclical, and so we have like these patterns of fear and greed and emotional, roller coaster. Like when, now that we have this big, huge correction, people are going to get shaky and concerned, the people that aren't really like kind of searching what's going on, people who have been in the space for a long time, we kind of understand that this is kind of common and it's a great opportunity to buy in a dip. But people who haven't been in as long, are probably more shaky. So that means there's probably not going to be as much buy pressure in general for a while. People are really, really concerned about what happened yesterday. And so they're probably not going to go and, make big investments. A lot will take advantage of it, but a lot will be scared. So, but then we'll start to go up consistently, and we'll start to pick up momentum again. And eventually, in my opinion, and most other people's opinion, we're going to get into a really dramatic altcoin season. And this is why I think things like launch pads, there's been a bit of a cool off right now. It got pretty saturated, and the market had lost some momentum compared to January, February, March, things like that. So, and I think people's, so they basically kind of slowed down a little bit, and we weren't seeing these things that we saw back, these launches of 200 and 100x and things like that. I mean, they're still good, right? Like Relight launched and did a 10x. I mean, that's amazing for you to participate in a public sale, and in an hour, be able to 10x your money. So it's still good. We got spoiled by January, February, March, and that's what happened. Yeah. So, but I think once we go into altcoin season, we're going to see things you can't even imagine. We're going to see these huge launches, and probably see something like, I'm sure we'll see it in 1,000, probably 1,000x on some project this year when it launches. We really have to see. We saw the beginning. It's weird the way that this market started off. We got the retail market started getting kicked off by buying meme coins, and not. So it's weird. It's weird because we do have some retail presence in the market right now, but it's not like 2017 retail presence really. Well, those retail markets got in first to buy cryptos and really didn't have all these meme coins that kicked it off for retail. This year we do. And so it's a bit weird, but I guess the majority of retail still hasn't come in, the kind that we saw that was creating all the buy pressure in 2017. So yeah, so I think that we will definitely see these kind of numbers again. And I would guess it's probably going to take maybe, 1 to 2 months. That's my guess. Anyway. Dude, I wish they just started only letting good projects in on paid, just focus on quality. I agree with you, but I'm wondering which project that we launched do you not think is a good project? Are you valuing what is a good project based on how many returns it does at the launch? Because that's a horrible way to evaluate what is a good project and what is not. So please feel free to comment on which project you think that we launched that was not a good project. I'm not saying that they're all tier 1 Polkadot infrastructure projects, but I believe, I vet every single project that comes on Ignition, and not just one call, it's several calls, and talk about it with my team. We look at all the background of the team, have a few calls, so I get to kind of feel them out. I look at project founders in their eyes, and I find out, I get a gauge of how I feel about them and the team. And I've been doing this for a very long time, so I have a good sense of character most of the time. And I look to see, usually you have to have a GitHub, and how mature is a project in development. I'm not saying that it's always like at testnet. Sometimes it's much earlier, but again, it's a just something that has been fine tuned. My due diligence ability of investing into projects since 2014, and so yeah, I think this is maybe you phrase this wrong, like just wishing that every project that we launch was going to do a 50x or something, or if you genuinely think that the projects that we launch aren't good. So anyway, please feel free to comment. Let me know which ones you don't think are good, and we can debate that if you'd like. That's just my opinion. So I think that people will see in 6 months from now, the quality of the projects that each launchpad chose to launch, and I have a good feeling that the majority of the projects that went through paid are going to be doing really well. That's what I believe, and that's why I invested them as well, and chose not to invest in 90% or more of the projects that come in front of me. Do you think Facebook will buy Bitcoin? Yeah, why not? Of course they will, if they haven't already. I mean, if you're Mark Zuckerberg, you definitely understand, big ideas, big kind of things that make sense, right? He's smart, and if you're smart and you're trying to preserve your money or grow it, you'll look for opportunities that are no-brainers, and buying Bitcoin is a no-brainer. So I would be shocked. I would be shocked if Zuckerberg didn't buy Bitcoin already. But the funny thing, the irony, right, of the whole thing is that the Winklevi twins, who basically gave Zuckerberg the idea for Facebook, they're the ones, they got screwed out of Facebook, but they took the settlement that they made from the Facebook settlement with Zuckerberg, and they used that money to buy Bitcoin, and they bought a ton of it very early. And so they, despite they turned something, quite shitty into something tremendously successful, and now they're hugely successful because, because they got that settlement from Facebook. So yeah, I believe the answer is yes. What's up, Kenny? Crypto Chick, thanks for taking the time to stream. My pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to be here. Kyle, I've been wondering this for weeks. Is there a story behind your rings? Yeah, so this is an ohm ring. If you know what ohm is, it's a resonance, a sound. Ohm. That's an ohm, and it just means like harmony and peace, and something that I just really like, and it aligned with the value of that word and meaning. And in 2004, I was actually in Thailand on Koh Phangan, going to my first full moon party, and there was a guy from Peru that made jewelry, and he made this, and I just loved it, and I bought it. So it's been like 16, 17 years since I bought this ring, and it looks exactly like it looked when I bought it, which is crazy. And I've not really ever taken it off, except for at the gym or something. And then this one, it's just, I don't remember where I got it. It's not really that important, nothing hugely relevant, but it's just fun to do this, spin that little chain in the middle. And then this is just ironic. This one is, so it's a bullet casing of a 50 caliber bullet. You can see it says like USA registration. And so basically it's a 50 caliber bullet shell. And I thought it was a really cool design, like awesome, interesting kind of design. But I bought it because like, even though when I was in the States, I have guns and I was, using them and to target practice and stuff like that. It was fun. But this just reminded me when I bought it of like the army, and I'm very like anti-war and anti-army. I used to tell my my parents when I was younger, if they ever reinstated the draft in America, like, so I would have to go to war as a teenager or something, I would have just left the country and been like, see ya. So anyway, that's kind of ironic considering the ring. But anyway, that's the story about my rings. Hey, Kyle, what do you think that the crypto market is being manipulated by market makers, whales, and big players? 100%. 100%. Like, I think that there's a lot of different things at play. Things from central banks that, central banks and governments that might want to see Bitcoin fail, might try to, manipulate in ways that, doesn't allow it to succeed, even though we know now that that's not possible, that they won't be able to stop it. It could be from derivatives exchanges, whenever there might be a ton of longs or shorts, they might see tremendous upside to manipulating the market to where everybody that's leveraged is getting liquidated and they're making just tons and tons of money on a day like that. You've got miners that manipulate the market for different things, whenever they want to control supply or price. Whales and institutions that want to get it cheaper because maybe they have an opportunity to, maybe there's someone in their firm or something that wants to buy $1 billion worth. So if they can get it for 40,000 or 30,000 instead of 60,000, if they can crash the price for a while and buy it at half price, then they might do that. So there's definitely a lot of manipulation going on. Yeah. How often do I speak to CZ and Gavin? Never. But I'd like to, especially, well, both actually, but yeah, it'd be great. But I don't know either of them. No, just people that work for them. This is funny. Kyle, long-time listener, first-time questioner. Can you give us the landscape for IDOs over the next few months, rough numbers per month, and estimate of quality? Hey, Thomas, thanks for listening and asking a question. Yeah, so I talked about this briefly a little bit before, but specifically for paid Apollo X and this Chinese launchpad that we're doing, we're probably, I started slowing down too, and to elaborate a little bit earlier on what I said, a little bit more about what I said earlier, was that, okay, so yeah, in the beginning of the year, everything, like we talked about before, was making huge multiples the first, month of IDOs or whatever. And so then, from an investor perspective, you couldn't really go wrong. And so there was a lot less of a strict due diligence. It was still due diligence, definitely, but something that maybe I'm more confident about it doing well in a bull market than a bear market, for example, or even a more slow market like right now. So probably the last 2 weeks or so, I started talking to a lot less projects, saying no to a lot more, and trying to slow down the quantity of how many we do. So right now we're quite booked through all of June for Ignition, and I'm sure as soon as we start accepting project to Apollo X, I'm sure that will fill up quite quickly. But you know, I know that they also want to be more, you know, or we want to be more selective for Apollo X as well. But right now I'm trying to look for, what I'm looking for right now from an investment perspective is infrastructure. So I'm really getting tired of this DeFi yield protocol or aggregator, or, you know, another whatever leverage, or just something that like that I've heard a bunch before. Another DeFi like this, but doing this instead, and some minor detail, you know. Not that those aren't going to be successful, and you know, we're still launching a few of them over the next month. But you know, now it's kind of starting to become very repetitive, and I've got my bets placed on the ones that we started working with already. With that being said, what I'm really looking forward to, or looking at, which is exciting, is infrastructure. So things that are going to build the entire support system and ecosystem that all of crypto and blockchain uses, like integrated into its tech. So some projects that I'm really excited about that we've recently invested into. One is called Panther Protocol. It's awesome team, really cool, like a very cool team. It's a tier 1 project, full on tier 1. It's something like, you know, that could be as big as something like a Polygon, for example, or a layer 1. You know, this is a privacy protocol built by some very intelligent people. So, and it will allow privacy on transactions across multi-chain. So it's going to be relevant in all chains and bringing privacy to transactions and a privacy layer. It's really sick. So that's infrastructure. Another one is Source that I'm excited about. It's a database, decentralized database, and they have partnerships already with major layer 1 protocols like Polkadot and Ethereum and things like that. And you know, the founders of these layer 1 protocols can't wait to use Source. So I'm very excited about that. It's yeah, like a database, decentralized database. And let's see what else. Unique Network. The guys are brilliant. They've been building out this their own blockchain on Substrate for a long time now. It's going to be an NFT infrastructure protocol, parachain, and extremely high quality tier 1 project. Partisia is another one that's been completely in stealth. There's a crazy technology called multi-party computation, or MPC for short. It's really brilliant and takes and the creators, the inventors of MPC are the guys who are building out this protocol, Partisia. It's basically a layer 0 and a layer 1, or a layer 1 and layer 2, if you will, combined, where it'll allow you to port over, you know, Ethereum apps and things like that, or build dApps on top of it, and have very secure, very private, very fast, and very cheap transactions. And it's built natively for enterprise and public as a blockchain. So whether it's corporate entities or governments or whatever, or it's the public like you and myself. So a layer 1 protocol, super exciting. Let's see. So this is, so, you know, and then another cool one that is like Lossless, which is coming and launching on Ignition soon. Lossless is really cool. Basically, it's interesting, and it's a little bit controversial, considering that, you know, it tests the idea of immutable or permissionless in a way. So what Lossless is it's a protocol that you can implement some lines of code into your token, And when you launch your token, and it would prevent things like, it monitors all the transactions in the network. And if it sees something that's very abnormal that it thinks might be a hack or something like that, it can freeze that wallet. And the community governance would need to take a look. The person whose wallet got frozen could submit the claim, and the governance could release it and whatever. But if it was a hack and they froze it, it would have prevented something like happened to Paid Network, where that attacker was able to dump all those tokens on Uniswap. This would have prevented that. So it's another really cool infrastructure model. So these are the kind of projects that I'm talking to right now that I want to bring to you guys, that we've made investments into. And so I'm trying to slow down, and yeah. And anyway, so that's where we're at right now. And, we're doing this Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem fund. Again, it's no longer, going to be just my money that Master Ventures is investing. It's going to be part of a lot of limited partners or LPs. And, we really need to be even more strict than I have been and diligent when it comes down to picking projects. So, so that's kind of my overview of my very long answer to a pretty simple question. Well, Partija is going to be on Ignition or Pollux. Yeah, definitely. Well, we're not totally sure yet. But I am going to be an advisor for Partija, and we made a significant investment into it. And so, yeah, it would make sense. But we're not totally sure yet, but it's an amazing project. And yeah, really happy that we're working with them. Hey, Ariel, why did you pass on Donkey after making a YouTube video on them? Ryan said it wasn't your decision. Just wondering what happened. I think it would have, when projects want to launch on Ignition, we have some requirements that they must meet. This is part of our due diligence, our quality control, and trying to do the best thing that we can for the paid community. If you have noticed, we aren't doing any public sales less than $200,000 on Ignition right now. I mean, maybe some guy's laughing like a hyena outside. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So we have some restrictions. So some things. So they can't raise less than $200,000 because we don't want to have a super small raise on Ignition and not have a lot of our participants winning. So the last few raises have been $200,000 plus, or at least moving forward, they definitely will be. And I think that's one of the things that we were asking. They only wanted to raise like 100K on Ignition or something, and so we asked for more, and they just didn't want to do it. So it's fine. Like I still invested in Donkey. I still think it's a great project. I still stand by the video I made by him. They just didn't meet the terms that that basically we were requiring on Ignition. So no hard feelings. Amazing projects, and that's the way it is. This is a good question. I actually meant to change this, and so we will change this moving forward. Yeah, no, that's exactly. We will definitely make sure that we do like an hour or an hour sooner or an hour later. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, that's from your GitHub. You are working on paid DApp. When approximately is it could be ready, and what's for most interesting parachain project? So I think that the full DApp will be done in probably 6 months or so. Yeah, in 6 months or so. It's hard for me to say, and that is really just a guess from me that isn't a dev, and I haven't asked that question to our devs yet because we're just so buried in what it is we're doing right now on getting Ignition perfect from the tech perspective. That way we can fork it and use it for Apollo X and the Chinese launchpad. And once it's at that point, then we can get everyone to focus on the paid DApp. And we are hiring some badass developers on top of the ones that we have. to build the best product possible, because I'm so excited to actually build this dApp, because I know that it's going to be useful, and I know that it's just a better system than the shitty legal system that we have today that doesn't work at all for dispute resolution and business. And this is exactly what the world needs. They need a better solution. And as far as I know, we're the only ones doing it. The only ones doing it out of all the projects in crypto, all the oracles, all the DeFi things, all this and that, which they're all great, you know. But we are so unique compared to everybody else. We're building something totally different. There's no one even building anything close to what we're building. And it's, in my opinion, one of the most obvious uses for crypto and blockchain, and the best, you know, well, one of the best, not the best, but like one of the best things that we can do, because it's one of the most inefficient systems in the world. There aren't even solutions for people. Like sometimes, you know, there's some ways to do it, you know, but it's not the most efficient. Like, you know, you could send someone a letter mail, and or you can write them an email, and the email is way faster, right? I forgot what I was to say. Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. Anyway, Kyle is honest; it doesn't sell hopium. Yeah, that's I try to give it to you guys as straight as possible. Kyle, are you still friends with Rand and Coach? Just wondering, because you and Coach do not come on Banter anymore. Yeah, no, we're definitely friends. I mean, I love Coach. He lives here in Thailand, and still, you know, an amazing friend of mine. Same with Rand. I believe Coach has his own Coach's own show on, like, Coach's Gems or something like that on Banter. I might do my own show on Rand's channel as well. If I can find the time to do it, which I hope that I can. But yeah, no, I still love them both, and hope that I go on with Coach again, because even though we're both in Thailand, I hardly ever see him. So yep, that's that. Love your work, absolute legend. One more phone, staking to come House of DAO, ready to come now. Cool, yeah. So yeah, some interesting updates on that. We actually went to check out an island yesterday, and it is off of an island, and basically has a beautiful resort there, and they just closed because of COVID. And I'm trying to, you know, I talked to the owners about making a deal for House of DAO there, and they're very interested, and that might happen soon. It's this amazing, beautiful resort, and so it might happen. It's different than the one I thought initially that we were going to move into, but this is amazing because it's 400 rooms or something like that. It's huge, huge, huge. 75 acres, no, 75 rye of land. I don't know how, it's like 30 acres or something like that. Yeah, 30. It's huge. On the beach, on its own private island, basically. So it's really cool, and we had a good day checking it out yesterday. More developments on that in the week to come. Oh yeah, the second part of the question also was the most interesting parachain project. Well, I think that I mean, I'd love to say us, of course, but you know, let's talk about something that's going to be a parachain much sooner than we will be. I think Plasm is probably the most interesting, or Moonbeam, because it's going to be such an essential tool to allow people to build on top of Polkadot without having to have their own parachain. It's huge. These components are huge. Plasm and Moonbeam are going to be massive. And that's another reason that I really, 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 really like Argo that we just launched. You guys, if you guys don't have any Argo yet, you're missing out. I think it's going to be huge, huge, huge. Arweave hasn't gotten the kind of attention yet that Polkadot or Solana has, but I think it's worthy of it. And Argo is a project that does more than just what Plasm and Moonbeam do for Polkadot, but it serves a similar use case as that kind of middleware solution that people can build their dApps on top of Arweave, because Arweave, from what I understand, was incredibly difficult if a developer wanted to come just build their dApp on top of it. But with Argo, it makes it easy to do so. And that is hugely important. And where on Polkadot, you've got guys like Akala, Plasm, Moonbeam, and Parastate, all who try to serve that purpose. So the competition is already pretty thick. But on Arweave, the only game in town is Argo. And so I think Argo is going to be massive, and it's so undervalued and under noticed right now. So that's that. Yeah, Willie's getting his nails done right now, actually. See, there you go. Oh, and we're in a different villa right now. It's pretty cool. You guys can see outside over there. There's Rupert, my dog, in the corner. Pool out there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Had awesome dinner earlier. Kitchen behind me. Okay. All right, guys. I'm getting pretty tired right now and love to relax, but I'm not quite done. I'm not quite done. Let's get some more good questions. Dude, you're just trolling. I mean, you must be trolling, right? Guys basically asked me why I've been not get like the paid gate V2 has been going out every single week. We collect any form that's been filled out, because your job is to basically fill out this form that says, gives us your claim. If you have those paid V2 tokens in that gate for our window and you haven't been reimbursed yet, you just go out, fill out the form, and every single week we take those requests that are valid, that we have those forms for, and airdrop those V2 tokens. So if you haven't got them yet, more than likely you probably haven't filled out the form or been doing what you're supposed to be doing. Sorry that you're upset, and I'm sorry that but I hope that I answered any questions that you might have, and please do fill out the form if you haven't got your paid 2 tokens and you're supposed to be getting them. That would solve your problem. Hey, David, what are some in-demand job positions in the crypto industry? Man, there's a lot, especially in a bull market. People need people. People need people like you wouldn't believe. People need people. Everybody that I know is hiring. Everybody. Everybody that we're hiring nonstop, constantly. We even just got an HR person. Our team's up to like 60 people, and we're hiring because we're just doing so much. And this is not just paid network. This is also Master Ventures, and we're actually working on another project with a different team, something that we've been building for a long time, called Fluid, and that's something that's been basically in stealth mode for the past 2.5 years, and so there's that. So that it's just a lot, but people are hiring for everything. So I think that like depends on that question should be, hopefully it can be a little bit more effective on what do you like to do, so I mean, developers are always in demand. Good developers are really hard to find. I mean, good ones. And if you could be a good developer, a really good one, I mean, you're like gold, or like Bitcoin, I should say, not gold. You're like Bitcoin. And even more specifically, if you in 2017, if you knew Solidity, you were worth a fortune. Now, a lot of people know Solidity, so it's not as rare. But if you learn Rust for Polkadot, holy crap. I mean, we have been looking for Rust developers forever, and haven't really found. We did finally, but some of our devs had to actually learn Rust because we just couldn't find good ones to hire. So so that is in tremendous demand, and I've heard some Rust developers getting insane salaries. Um, you know, you can build up a social media presence, and you know, if you don't like making videos, then all you have to do is, you know, spend time on Twitter. If you don't, especially if you have a lot of time, and you just go on Twitter and do research and make tweets, you can become an influencer, and probably in as little as like, you know, maybe even 2 months, if you just go out there and work really hard and do all kinds of growth hacking tricks you can to grow out your following on Twitter. And if you can get like, you know, 5,000 people following you on Twitter, and it's organic growth, and you get good engagement, you know, you could basically be considered like a micro influencer in crypto, and people might start giving you something like $1,000 allocation into a private sale. That's worth a lot of money. You know, that $1,000 can easily turn into 20, 50, or $100,000 when you're getting private sale opportunities, you know? So, I mean, you know, that's, you know, if you really wanted to make some good money in this bull market, you know, even if you have a full-time job, if you work 40 hours a week, spend, you know, 30 hours a week, you know, and work your butt off to get a social media following, and you can become an influencer. The higher that you grow your following, the higher the allocation opportunity you can get in projects. And that's kind of a little bit how, you know, crypto influencers work. So that's a good job. Marketing is it's extremely important. And to be honest, most of the marketing agencies that have been around are completely saturated, and they've taken on more clients than they can handle. And so they're not able to do their job terrifically. And that's a problem. So, you know, if you can become a great marketer, it depends on like basically anything that you can do that you can think that might be adding value to a business or whatever, you know, you can do it in crypto, and especially in a bull market, all the kinds of opportunities are possible. All right, guys. Let's see. Anyone else have any interesting questions? Do I think that the huge correction will thin out the oversaturated market and get rid of rubbish projects, memes? I mean, I would hope so, but I don't think it will. I really don't think that it will. You know, as long as there's ridiculousness in the market, and there will be during a bull run, there's going to be shitty projects and memes and scam projects, you know? And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. This is a conversation with you guys going on here. Let's see if I can find out what you're replying to. Oh, you guys are having like a full-on conversation over here. You guys in here. Okay, I got it. Kyle, you need to invest in our project. Willing to move to Thailand, work with your team. Do you have space for 18 cats? You mean like, do you call your employees cats, or do you mean like meow cats? I don't know. If you saw something interesting and worth investing into, you know, be clever and find a way to get a hold of our team. It's not hard to do, and share the opportunity with us, and we'll check it out. I don't go back to the bridge troll. What? Toll bridge? Maybe? I don't know. I don't know what you're about. When is the video about the team? I want to see the team. Do you mean us for paid? I didn't think about it, but maybe what we'll do, maybe we should. This is a good idea. So Jess or Otto or anyone of our team, if sometimes the team listens to this, sometimes if you guys are listening, please make a note and let's do one of these AMAs together. Maybe we'll do like, 3 or 4, maybe like every other week, maybe we'll do, 2 or 3 other team to join this with me, and you can ask them questions and get to know them as well. It's a great idea. Good idea. All right. If you didn't catch it earlier, after this AMA, go check out my video that should be releasing in a couple hours that I just filmed before the AMA, which is basically talking about the 5 projects that I picked up this morning for the dip. So go check that out. Any plans for Cardano launches? Yep. I mean, definitely. So we, of course, Ignition will be multi-chain. We'll be able to launch projects on every type of on all protocols. Cardano for sure. It'll be in the order of which they are necessary to implement, right? So, if whenever they have native tokens, for now, anyone who says that they're launching Cardano projects is the same thing as Polkastarter saying that they're launching Polkadot projects. They're not really launching native Polkadot projects or Polkadot native languages, nor are they doing Cardano native projects or projects with Cardano tokens, right? Because they don't exist right now. So they're still just doing Ethereum projects that, with the insinuation that they will be launching Cardano projects, for example. So yes, I mean, we can tell you right now that we're launching Cardano projects. And the fact is that when we can actually do that natively, we will, just like everybody else that plans on doing that. Hi, Kyle. You mentioned the expansion of the Chinese platform on Paid Network. How can the Chinese community extend their help to you? So marketing, basically, what I've always been told, and I've never done business in China except for visiting China for like stem cells and stuff like that with the clients I had. I'm told that it's very hard to break into that market to basically, if you're a Westerner, to be able to successfully market yourself inside China, because it's just a totally different. They don't use Google, they don't use Facebook, they don't use this. They use like WeChat and Alibaba, and like Tencent or something like that. And so it's a completely different way that you market, different culture, different like ways that you do it. So what we need help with is just how to do awareness. We will need like a Chinese community on WeChat. We will need help marketing and whatever you can think of to help us successfully break into the Chinese community. And we want to do that because to the Chinese Launchpad, Apollo X, and Ignition will all have their own native paid staking, meaning that you can't stake tokens once on Ignition and have them count for Apollo X and the Chinese one. This is basically 3 different types of launch pads with 3 different types of communities, different projects launching, sometimes the same, doing dual IDOs on the Chinese one in Ignition or whatever. But also other teams that are helping to drive the operations for those launch pads. You've got our team, paid core team, that's doing Ignition. We've got another team that we brought in to partner with us on doing a lot of the operations for Apollo X, even though we're still working to approve projects that are launching on Apollo X. And the same thing will happen for the Chinese one. But basically, they are all using paid, but they will all act kind of like a new launchpad when it comes to having to sign up and stake your paid on them to be able to participate in those things. So we expect, the type of token holdings that potentially like 3x the tokens that are locked. There are people that are participating in IDOs. And I think that will drive a lot of demand for the token. And, and now that we have, that private B round all paid out, meaning that was the biggest round and the biggest releases every month, that's gone. The last one was released last month. So we should have less sell pressure every month from private investors. So I think that, in the next month, we'll see a tremendous amount of increase of demand for paid token and not as much inflation as we had seen before. So yeah, so anyway, that's very bullish on paid. And How can I have a Chinese launchpad if they ban crypto multiple times? I don't know if we don't really know what this announcement was, right? We don't know what the laws are. They threaten something, blah, blah, blah. But we've seen this before where China or India bans crypto and then they come back 3 months later and say, oh no, we never banned crypto. We had said something else or something. You know, we've seen this both with China and India before. And it wasn't the first and it won't be the last. So yeah, anyway, that's that. I am going to gonna tap out now. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you next week.